So hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of the Briggs Equipment Podcast. Something a little bit different today. Absolutely delighted to be joined by Paige from the communications team. How are you, Paige?
Good, thank you.
Brilliant. And our special guest, it's Pete Jones, Managing Director. Pete, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Morning both.
It's today's going to be the format that we've done before, where we ask you questions that have been put to us by our employees, and we thank everyone who's got in touch and sent in a question. But I think to start, Peter, I think people would be really grateful if we could have a little bit of an update onto the performance of the business and some key projects as well.
Yeah, certainly, Tom. Well, it's halfway through the year already, which just astounding, the speed at which it races through. You know, we've had a solid start to the year. It's tough economic climate out there, but the business is generally performing well. We're going to be slightly under budget at the half year, which is disappointing. Interest rate is a big drag on our business. We've got a lot of debt within the business, and interest rates have been persistently high, as I guess we've all felt at the moment. So that's really going to mean we're slightly behind plan. We've had some really star performers within the group this year. Our Baloo business had a tough year last year. That's really bounced back, particularly on the back of the writers' strike and the actors' strike finishing. So the work that we've done in the film and TV industry has really bounced back. So that's really pleasing.
It's interesting now something like that can impact business, and then it's a real external factor that you would probably never have considered.
No, that's right, and difficult to control at the end of the day. So that's really pleasing. We're still challenged with our leash business, but I'm pleased to see that that's turning the corner now. I think we've got the stable platform re-established, and we should see that going forward. Some exciting things we're doing in Scotland. I think that's watch this space. You'll see some of that, but generally pleased with where we are. Digital transformation's the big focus for us at this point in time. A huge project that we've taken on. I get more and more excited about what that will deliver, but also see it's more and more complex. So the team are putting in a huge amount of effort. I think we've got about 70 people working on that at the moment. We will deliver a great solution at the end of the day. I think it's going to take a little bit longer than perhaps we all hoped, but what we can see coming through I think is really exciting, and will really give us a foundation to take the group forward as we move forward.
Fantastic. And I suppose we might as well get straight into some of the questions that we were sent in. So there's some really good ones, and like I say, thank you to everyone who sent a question in, and please stay tuned for another opportunity to do this later in the year, and please get involved. First question, Pete, what is your vision for the company's growth over the next 5 years?
Well, we've established a really great platform. 4 or 5 years ago, we established we focused on the strategy of diversifying the company, focusing on the two core competencies of engineering services and asset management. I'm really pleased with what we've done, and expanded that geographic footprint. So we've got a core focus in materials handling. We've expanded that into our plant and tool rental, offering our general rental business. We've also expanded our access solutions and our professional services businesses. Are starting to really develop and create a unique offering in the marketplace. So the focus for the vision really is to take each of those verticals forward, so those 4 verticals, build on the solid platform that we've got, and really expand those across the geographic footprint of the UK and Ireland. And all of those 4 have really, really strong growth opportunities. And each is really providing a unique proposition to the market. So it's very exciting where we can do that. This year we'll probably finish just less than £500 million turnover. At the end of those 5 years, with those 4 verticals driving forward, the aim is to get as close as we can to £1 billion turnover. So really quite a big force in the UK and Irish economy.
And Pete, are there any plans to improve the maternity and paternity policies at Briggs? And if not, why not?
Well, we're always looking to make sure we've got the right policies for our employees. We've had a lot of focus, I guess, on policies around well-being, in particular within the business, and so maternity and paternity really forms part of that. As we sit here today, there's no plans for us to change those, but we will keep those under constant review to ensure that we've got family-friendly policies within the business.
Sure. And on the last podcast, it was mentioned about an additional grading for engineers. When will this be released, and what will be the criteria to be? What will the criteria be to make someone eligible for this?
So that's still very much work in progress. So I was talking to Dan Bovington last week around that. So he's got that on the agenda. We're focused on that. It's key for us to be as attractive as we can for engineers, so that engineers can have a rewarding career throughout the business. We've probably got about 50 vacancies we sit here today. So not just retaining, but also attracting engineers to the business. So that's under review. It's one to watch this space.
One here, our Ireland teams have hosted some successful open and family days in the past. Do you think there's any plans for something to be introduced at some of the UK offices, such as Cannock, Haydock or Maidenhead?
So it's been a few years. You probably don't even remember.
It's
been a few years
I think
since
we've
we've Dodgems and things like that on the car park. They're certainly really, really good days.
Yeah.
I guess the one that is probably being referred to there was the opening of our expanded Omar depot in Northern Ireland, and that certainly went down extremely well. We had many employees and their families attend that. We're doing work actually on Maidenhead at the moment, so that might be a great excuse actually once that's finished to have a reopening, if you like, of the Maidenhead depot. But we should, if there's interest and people would like to do that at, say, Haydock or Cumbernauld or Cannock, then just shout and let's think about organising something like that.
Absolutely. Next question. And this comes from an engineering colleague. When engineers call into the Cannock desk, and I'm guessing this is applicable across the offices, they have to listen to an automated message. That message is approximately sort of 20 seconds to 30 seconds long before they're able to select an option. Can this potentially be changed as over the day that can add up as quite a lot of lost time?
I bet everybody knows that off by heart, don't they? Yeah, we should look at that. I know whenever I'm on call centres and you're waiting for the options to come, but often you can press those early, and it'll circumvent to where you need to go. So let's have a look at it. I'll take that away and see if there's something we can do to stop that. Because as you say, it's only 20 seconds, but you're called in 5 or 6 times a day, and it just gets frustrating. So we'll have a look at that and see what we can do.
Okay, and the next question is, are there plans for our engineers' pay to be industry leading as it once was?
Well, I would hope that we're pretty much in line with market at this point in time. We're in a very, very competitive environment. I mentioned earlier the fact that we've got over 50 engineer vacancies at this point in time. So we need to remain competitive and attractive to the marketplace. So we're continually looking at that. We also have to make sure that it's commercially viable within the business. So it's something that we keep under continual review. I would note that pay's gone up quite significantly over the last few years, really in relation to the inflation pressures that we've all faced. But it's something that's continually under review, and we have to be market competitive. Otherwise, we won't attract and retain the people that we need in the business.
Sure. And is there something about the company that you are most proud of?
Wow, I'm very proud of a lot of what we do. I would say it's got to be our people at the end of the day. I think that's what really marks Briggs out as being different and being special. The commitment and the dedication and the engagement that we have for our employees is second to none. I'm very proud of the solutions that we deliver for customers. Behind every innovative solution is really a group of colleagues who've really worked hard to do that. So I would say it's got to be the employees within the business. I love the fact that we've got the Inspire Awards. It's great every quarter, and I'm amazed at how many nominations that we get every quarter. And being part of the judging panel, it's really difficult to pull out.
Is that something you really start really enjoying?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and it's great insight just to what we're doing for customers and how people value that and respect what people are doing. So no, great, but it's got to be the employees. That's what differentiates Briggs.
What plans are there to recruit experienced engineers to our team? And do you think there's a challenge around the current age of our workforce and existing engineers who could retire with little notice?
So we're always looking. I mentioned earlier about the 50-odd vacancies that we've got at the moment. We're always looking to recruit within the business. We've got the improver schemes, we've got the apprentice schemes, to attract people within the business. I think there's over 50 people on those schemes as we speak. The question is right to note the fact that we've got an ageing workforce. I think probably over the last 4 or 5 years we've brought that average age down, but it's still probably late 40s is where it sits today. So we do have to be very very focused on ensuring that we're continuing to replenish and renew the engineer workforce within the business. So it's something that we continually focus on.
I'm guessing highlights the importance of things like the apprentice programme as well.
It does, yes. So we're continually generating new resource within the business and replenishing that as we go forward.
And this question might not relate to this day in particular, but what does a typical day look like in your role?
What does a typical day look like?
Because I'm guessing your Monday morning doesn't usually start with a
It
podcast.
No, it doesn't. No, you're absolutely right. Or a photo shoot that we had last week, actually. It's probably fair to say that there really is no typical day within my week. And that's what makes my job so enjoyable, to be honest. It's so varied in what I get engaged with. It is dominated by probably all too many meetings during the course of the week. But I get involved in customer matters, I get involved in people matters, commercial matters, things like that. It's also great meeting some of the partners that we work with. So 2 important meetings last week, one with HSBC, one with Heist Yale. So it's very, very varied and very enjoyable. And often when I start on a Monday morning, I don't actually know what the week's going to be like. And also involves quite a bit of travel. So I'm in and out of Ireland quite a lot, and it's great to get close to the businesses and see what we're doing at first hand. So no typical day.
And next question is, are there any plans to offer incentives for long-serving employees, as this could help with retention?
So I guess we've got a long-term incentive plan at this point, or long-service plan at this point. We enhanced that last year by putting 20 years in. So it's 20... 30 and 45, I think, is what we have at the moment. So we feel that that's probably appropriate. We're looking for other ways or varied ways to recognise as many employees as we can. I touched on the Inspire scheme before, and I think it's that sort of recognition to try and recognise as broad a group of employees as possible. So at the moment we introduced the 20-year scheme, and I think that complements what we've got originally.
And what options are there for field service engineers to wind down as they approach retirement?
So we've got one scheme in place at the moment, and it's important really for us. We lose a lot of experience when we have engineers retiring, so it's important for us to have as much notice as possible. So we have a scheme whereby if an engineer gives us 12 months notice, they will get £1,000 bonus for that. We can then work with that engineer to wind down to retirement, and in the last month before retirement they can drop down to 4 days. No reduction in pay, but drop down to 4 days. So you're easing yourself into retirement. So hopefully that works for the retiring engineer and works for the business as well, so we can plan around that.
And as we increasingly try to be aware of our environmental footprint, are we making any progress with implementing things like solar panels or wind power generation at any of our sites?
So we're certainly looking at that. We've just built an expanded facility in Altona, just south of Belfast in Northern Ireland. That's got all solar panels on the roof. So where we've got new facilities, we will certainly do that. And it's much easier to do that. We have looked at wind turbines on a couple of locations. The challenge actually is always planning. So we've had planning turned down on I think 2 occasions where we've looked at that. But certainly from a solar perspective, we will look to do that on as many facilities as we can. Often it's talking to the landlord. And we're certainly having conversations, and we have done in Cannock for probably now more than 18 months with the landlord. So it does take time. There's big investments to be made for this, but the focus is there, and where we can do it, we will do it.
Tough question from Paige now.
Yeah, a big one for you now, Pete. Do you have a favourite type of forklift?
Do I have a favourite type of forklift?
Answer carefully.
Look, I love them all. That's our business. I would say, for me, this is perhaps not a more logical answer. It's the ones that make us the most money and the most reliable from our customer perspective. The easiest ones to maintain, as I'm sure all our engineers would testify to, and the ones that are most commercially viable from an overall company perspective. I would say is the sorry, it might not be the funny answer, but that's the logical businessman answer.
Would you be interested in attending one of, and I'm guessing this is sent in from a specific team, in attending one of our engineering team meetings in September? And I guess that could be rolled out to any engineering team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a question that got asked in
Yeah.
the last podcast, if I remember rightly. I'm always willing to attend any meeting, whether it's engineer meeting or team meeting across the group. All I ask is that you reach out to Gail and give Gail appropriate notice.
Gail Lee.
Gail Lee, my PA, appropriate notice, and I'll do whatever I can to attend those meetings. So love to engage with people at that level.
And the next question is, will we be able to buy additional holiday anytime soon?
We've been talking about this for a long period of time. It's something I would really like to implement within the business. At the moment, I would say we're probably more resource constrained than we've ever been. I've touched on the shortage of engineers previously, but we've also got 70 people working on digital transformation at this point in time. So from a back office support function, we're probably tighter on resource than ever. So what I would say is, let's get the other side of digital transformation. I'm really keen to get this implemented, and I know from all the feedback that we've had, it's something that a lot of colleagues would like to embrace as well. So once we're behind DT, so probably this time next year, maybe something like that, we'll certainly seriously look at doing that.
Okay, and a bit more of a personal question again now, Pete.
Right.
What part of your life has been your favourite so far, and why?
That's an interesting one. I really enjoy what I'm doing now. If I'm totally honest, we've got a great business, we've got some great opportunities. But I would probably say my most favourite part is when I worked in the States. So mid-90s, I did 2 years in the United States. So lived in Philadelphia, worked in Delaware. So was working for PricewaterhouseCoopers at the time, doing a big global project for DuPont, the big chemical company. So I had a great time over there for 2 years, actually being immersed in the American culture.
Yeah.
If I go over to Dallas for a week, you sort of feel a bit of it, but you don't get immersed in it. Or you go on holiday, you don't really get immersed, but living and breathing and working within the country is probably the most favourite. And Philadelphia is just a great location. You're so close to New York and New Jersey and Boston, and flying down to Florida and things like that. So it was a great 2 years. And I very nearly stayed in the States. Very nearly. So
Thank
things
goodness
could
for breaks that you didn't.
things could have been very different.
What is the main objective in your role?
So my main objective, I guess, is to run a safe and compliant business that delivers the objectives for Salmons, which is all value growth. So that's really the core objective. I've got many objectives that are supplementary to that, but that's fundamentally the core objective. And I'm very proud of what we've done. Briggs has been part of Salmons now for probably 17 years or so. We didn't create a lot of value in the first 6 or 7 years. We've exceeded all objectives since then, and something that perhaps Salmons thought we wouldn't achieve. So it's great to be able to have delivered that for them. Looking forward, it's making sure that we've got a strategy that will deliver that. So that's a strategy that's focused on what do our customers need, what are the market challenges, how can we be agile in the way we go forward. And as I've touched on before, we're in a great place. We've got a great platform. Really pleased with how we've developed over the last 4 or 5 years. We've got that great platform now with technology that can enable us to go forward. So very confident that we can deliver on that objective as we move forward.
And the next question is, would you be open to office-based staff wearing smart casual clothing every day? Things like jeans and polo tops. There's other businesses adopting that approach, and is it something you think that we could do at Briggs?
Okay. I guess we all have our own preferences. It took me a long time to ditch my tie, but I could never wear a tie again now. It's quite painful. So we changed some of the policy around branded workwear and things like that last year. I think we just need to be open and actually probably need to take feedback on it. As the questioner has said, more and more people now are wearing jeans to work. Sometimes I see the auditors coming in wearing jeans when they do the audit. That would never have happened, when I was there. So let's take some feedback, and if that's generally what people want to do, then we can have a look at making the changes.
The HRG product is known to be a strong and reliable one, but comes at a premium price. It works well for specific customers, however, it can sometimes be difficult for the smaller users to justify that cost. Do you think there's any plans to change allegiance to another brand in the distant future?
There isn't. There are no plans at all. We moved from Caterpillar to Yale and ultimately Heist 2010, 2012. I think we've been very pleased with that change and what it's brought for the business. The question is right. It is a premium product. It does come in a premium price. But if you look at what we've done over the last few years, we've expanded, and Heist to Yale has expanded with the UT UX range. We brought the Maximal business into the fold a couple of years ago. So that's giving options right from the most sophisticated user all the way down to smaller users. And so hopefully we've got a solution for everybody. We're also working more on refurbishing of used equipment trucks. So if a new truck is out of the price range, then we've got a used truck to do the solution for you. I think from Heist to Yale, I meet with them regularly. I touched on the fact that I met with them last week. I'm probably more excited than ever about their pipeline of product. The Heist to Yale are a very protective of their product development, but when you get inside and you see what's coming down the track, it's exciting. And we go from the hand pallet truck all the way up to the reach stackers, and the development that's coming down the track is probably the most exciting I've seen with Heist to Yale for many years. So I'm very confident we got the right partner there, and I think what we do with trucks and how we take trucks to market gives a solution for every customer.
Something to look forward to for everyone.
It is. Yeah, it's exciting with HYG.
Watch this
it really
space.
is.
Watch this space,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think when this question was asked, the result was not known. But how do you think the general election and the electing of a Labour government will affect our business?
Well, I think what do businesses need and what do we need? It's really all about stability and certainty, and we've been through a number of years where we haven't had either at the end of the day, and that just makes it difficult for business to plan and for business to succeed. So I'm hopeful that certainly with the majority that they've got, that we will enter a period of significant stability and more certainty, and we also need growth. Briggs is very dependent on the size of the UK economy. We touch most of the economy. As that economy grows, that creates more options for us. And clearly we've had an economy that's been stagnating for a long period of time. So hopefully with a growth agenda as well, we'll start to see that. So I'm reasonably encouraged that it should be positive for us going forward.
And the next question is, do you think there will be more room for collaboration between Briggs UK and USA?
Yeah, I certainly do. We've really got a new umbrella organisation in Salmons now, Salmons Industrial, that's led by Dan Lister. And some of the listeners will have seen Dan when he was at the sales conference previously. That is bringing more of a focus now. So rather than Salmons managing all of the businesses, this is now more divisionalised. So there's a greater focus within the division. And that will give us more opportunity, I believe, to share best practice. What I'm really, really encouraged by, though, is I think nothing will be done at the expense of Briggs UK. So it's all about collaborating, doing the right thing for Salmons Industrial and ultimately for Salmons, but not at the expense of Briggs UK. So if it's not right for us, we won't do it. And I think our system implementation is a great example of that. We're not putting in the system that the US put in. We're putting in our own system. So it's what's right for the business. But we will have more opportunities to share best practice and collaborate. And we're a big business. Salmons Industrial is probably turning over $1 billion. So we've got plenty of muscle, and so also doing collaborative supply agreements and things like that. So and more opportunity for colleagues to collaborate and share best practice as well. So no, we will see more of that as we go forward. And
when do you think acquisitions will be starting again?
Oh, I'd love them to start yesterday, if I'm totally honest. We've got a lot of opportunity on the acquisition front. We're an attractive organisation to join. We've bought 18 businesses over the last few years, and I think every single one of those would sing the praises of being part of Briggs going forward. We're really pausing whilst we refinanced the business last year and whilst we put digital transformation in. I think realistically it's probably going to be the early part of next year before we start to see us beginning work again on those. That may well mean it's the second half of next year before we complete any acquisitions. But we've got some exciting opportunities that we continue to talk to, and I think they and us would like it to be sooner rather than later. But we've got to make sure we've got the right platform before we bring new businesses into the group.
And how do you think Briggs and the RBUs can further collaborate so that both are included on a similar playing field as one business?
So, I think we're getting closer in the way we work together, but I think we've got further work to do. There's no doubt at all about that. And we've talked quite a bit about systems this morning. Systems is one of the things that makes that more difficult. We're on different platforms; it makes it more difficult to collaborate. But I think we're taking steps to bring the RBUs closer to what we're doing. Some of the work that Paul does around working with the RBUs. Gav does things similar. So we are bringing them closer, but until we get on one platform, I don't think we'll be as collaborative as we could be. So it's work in progress from that perspective. But they are a very unique part of our group. Nobody else has in our sector has the global or the national footprint, and then supplemented by the regional businesses. So it's a real unique and value adding part of the group.
And if you can believe it, this is the final question.
We got through all of them.
We got through all of them. So what do you think sets Briggs apart from other leading companies and competitors? What makes us better?
I'm going to have to go back to an answer I gave previously. It's got to be the people. At the end of the day, the engagement that we have within our business, that I think that really sets us apart. That's what comes up with creative solutions within the business. We also really listen to our customers. The voice of the customer exercise again is one of the things I went through last week to understand that feedback. We really do listen to our customers. Our colleagues take that on board, and then we shape solutions. And that's what really makes us stand out, And an organisation that stops listening to their customers won't be around for long. That's pretty clear. So I would say employees and listening to our customers.
And Pete, thank you very much for taking part. I'm sure on behalf of everyone who sent a question in, thank you. And I'm sure you'd like to reiterate to people who have engaged with this process to say thank you for getting involved.
Absolutely, yeah. And a much more varied list of questions this time.
It's been really good.
A little bit more personal than last time, actually. But hopefully everybody's got what they wanted from that. And thanks for organising it.
No, I'm sure they have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for everyone for listening to the latest episode of the Briggs Quitting Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube to see this latest video. And thank you very much.
Very good.